Hey, welcome back. I'm here with Carl. Say hi, Carl.
And Adam.
And Adam.
Hello.
Yeah, we're here to talk to you today about a story about farmers. When Jesus told stories in the Bible, we call them parables. And I know Carl knows this. Carl, what's a parable? What does that mean?
It means, a parable means, a story about familiar things that help us learn spiritual truths.
Yes, a story about familiar things that helps us learn spiritual truths.
Indeed.
Yes, and we're going to talk about the parable of a sower. And Adam, pop up and tell us, what is a sower?
A farmer.
So really...
Don't even think about your grandma.
Yes. So really, this story is about a farmer, and because Jesus knew that we understood...
Not a real farmer.
Okay. Because Jesus knew that we understood how things grow and how to get food, he told a story about growing things to help us understand how Jesus grows us. Okay? So, we all want to grow closer to Jesus. Do you want to grow closer to Jesus? You want to grow closer? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I want to grow closer to Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And this talks about how you do it. So, the first thing is, if you could grow anything you wanted, what would you grow?
A spruce tree.
A spruce tree.
They
Adam,
come
tell
with
us why.
free knots, and
Free knots.
it's easier to make holes in the bark.
Easier to make holes in the bark. Perfect for owls.
Cupcake tree, or a Chick-fil-A tree, or a bacon
Carl.
tree, or
Carl.
Hey,
broccoli tree.
okay.
I think the broccoli tree would be the easiest one. You just gotta.
Broccoli basically are trees.
Yeah, they are.
Are you okay, Carl?
Yes.
No, but hey, a Chick-fil-A tree would be really cool, right? We can all
Oh,
agree.
yeah, that's really cool.
Or a cupcake
Well,
tree.
what you could do is you could actually just make Chick-fil-A, like make a tree house with Chick-fil-A on the tree house
That
instead
yeah.
of a house.
Yes. Okay. I'll accept it. But anyway, it'd be really cool to have those kinds of trees, and that'd be really neat. But we're going to tell a story today, and Jesus is going to talk about when God tries to grow us. Jesus is the farmer in this situation. How we react to what God does in our life makes a big difference, right? So, the first thing in the story that we need to be aware of is the first place he says the farmer threw some seed on a path, and it said the birds just snatched it up. So tell me about you're a bird. Tell me about snatching seeds off paths.
Deliciousness. Especially
Deliciousness.
Bagels or Chick-fil-A.
Those aren't seeds.
Bagels have sesame seeds on them.
Oh, that's
How
fine.
dare
Okay.
you steal my Chick-fil-A?
All right. Oh, and
Will
you
drop on
will
the
you
path.
steal?
I will rarely eat Arby's, though.
It wouldn't even.
Sometimes I like to go to amusement parks, and then when people bring their Chick-fil-A on loop-de-loops, they drop it on the top of the loop, and then I eat it.
Wait.
Okay.
Nobody else
So
wants it.
you can steal.
Who are these insane people?
Hey, listen, you can steal stuff off a path, right? And this is what happens in the Bible says when Jesus says it's those people who when the gospel, when the good news comes to them, those people who in those situations they hear the word but they don't understand it, and when they don't understand it, they forget. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't get in their life. If you don't understand something, it doesn't get in your brain, right?
No.
Right?
Noggin.
Because of
Like-
my head. My head is so strong,
Yes.
stuff can't get in my brain.
Right.
It has to come in through my ears,
That's
my
why.
mouth, or my
That's
nose, or my
totally why.
eyes.
All right.
It's
Through
just
your
getting
mouth.
through his eyes. Stop. Okay. Hey.
Get into my
So
mouth.
the second one, it said those whose he threw it and the soil had a bunch of rocks in it, and it said that the plants came up and grew, but then when the sun was really hot, they died. So tell me about soil with rocks. You have some experience with rocky soil as a desert
Oh, yeah.
creature. Is it good for growing plants?
I've never grown plants in rocky soil, but I've dug holes in rocky
You've
soil.
dug holes in rocky soil?
Nice ventriloquism, Carl.
Okay, hold on. You've dug
What you
holes.
have to do is you have to move all the rocks,
Oh.
eat the rocks, and then
Eat
dig.
the rocks?
Yeet.
Yeet.
Yeet. Oh, we have to yeet the rocks.
Y-E-E-T. Yeet
Okay,
them
you have
up.
to yeet the rocks, and then what?
And then you can dig your hole, but then there's still more rocks under the soil, and then you gotta eat those again.
Look it up in the Carl Edition dictionary.
Oh.
Yeet means throw backwards, forwards, left, right,
Okay.
down, or up.
Well, why don't
Please
you
throw.
yeet out of this shot?
Ah!
Okay. So anyway,
No self-eating. It's illegal.
It's called a seed.
when we have, oh my goodness, the things I learn on this show. When we have our life and we're in rocky soil, that's where we have all these other people in our life who influence us, and they take up space. And so we don't get to grow deep in God, because so when those people say, You're a Christian? What? And they make fun of us. You know what happens to us? We ask ourselves, we start going, well, maybe I shouldn't be. Because there's no room in our life for it to be full of Jesus, because there's all these other influences in our life. The rocky soil says when hard times come, plants don't do well in rocky soil. In the desert, stuff grows when it rains.
Yeah.
But then
And
when the
it
rain
saved rain.
and when the rain goes away, what happens?
They
It
save rain.
dies.
It all dies.
No.
Yes.
They
Well,
save-
some of them do. Some of them do because they hold water a long time. But there's lots of things in the desert that will pop up in the rain and then they go away. And that's like our story today. When you are in rocky soil, when you're in a desert, it's easy to grow when God does really good things. But when hard times come and you're waiting for an answer from God, it's hard to grow. So you got to be careful about that. What about the third one? Was when there was he threw it and it landed in a bunch of weeds where there was a bunch of plants already growing. First of all, does anybody know what a weed is?
Yes, I know
Yes.
what weed is.
All right.
They are disgusting.
This is why people invented weed eaters.
Why did I try and eat one?
Well, can I tell you guys a secret about weeds?
I'm a weed eater.
Yeah?
Num,
Let me
num,
tell
num,
you.
num, num.
Yeah, you are a little bit of a weed eater. I took you on a walk once, you ate grass the whole time. But weeds are plants that you don't want to grow where they are.
No.
So a weed is just a plant in the wrong spot. And if we have too many weeds in our life, do you know what that means?
No, I mean,
It means that stuff is not where it's supposed to be. It means that there is things in our lives that are distracting us from growing closer to God.
I have a story that represents this.
Okay, tell
There
us
was
about
this
it.
big rat
A big
who
rat.
said I could never eat him.
He
I
can't eat it.
tried.
Yes.
I could.
You could?
It ruined my life. I've always wanted to eat a
Oh,
rat.
yeah, because you get focused on the wrong thing instead of focused on the right things.
It
But
was
listen,
so tasty.
if you have,
I had
oh,
to spit him
stop
out.
it, stop it, stop the
Oh,
gross.
don't worry, he's
no,
still alive.
Grossest stories. Stop. So, what I'm telling you is, when God asks you to grow and you have no room in your life for God, that's like when the farmer threw the seed into the weeds. And when you plant something, before you plant it, do you get all of the other stuff that's growing out of that ground? Yeah? What do you
The
think?
weeds ruin the wheat's life.
Yes, yes. And Carl, I think, didn't you have a story about when there was too much of the same kind of thing, how it's hard to find the thing you want? Wasn't there a story about that, something about grass? Tell me your grass story.
What? I've never.
Oh, I remember.
Well, you know Carl's pet.
like-
He's got a
like-
piece of grass that's like his pet piece of
Oh,
grass.
His favorite piece of grass.
His
'cause He
favorite.
lives in the desert.
Tell us about your grass.
I went to a vacation
Uh huh.
where there was lots of grass.
With his special piece of grass.
And you took a special piece with you.
Yeah,
And then what happened?
I dropped it.
Could you find it?
Yeah, eventually found it because
Was it hard to find?
it was pointy,
Yeah.
kind of brittle, and it was yellow.
It was hard to find though, right? With all the other grass.
Yeah.
Was it like looking for a needle in a haystack?
Yes.
How about a grass and a patch of grass?
A grass and a patch of grass. I'm just saying
Grass
that
and grass.
if we have too much other stuff in our life, it's hard to follow God, right? We need to focus on God. That means focusing, I know, which is hard for these guys.
Yeah.
Focusing is hard, but we have to focus on God,
Focus. Focus.
because if we don't focus on God, things don't grow. And then the last part was when he threw it into the good soil. And it said, not only did it grow in the good soil and get big and mature, but it produced a harvest and it grew. And then later on, those seeds were planted and they grew, and there was a harvest over and over again, more so than just that one seed. That one
Wait a
seed.
minute.
And he
You can see the
also,
reflection of the lights in his
I know you
sunglasses.
can. That one.
and the farmer, this is what he also did. He never threw his seeds that far in the path. He always went to the good soil and then threw his seeds.
Well, I'll tell you this. Here's the good thing about Jesus. Even if your heart's not ready, he keeps throwing seeds at you. So if your heart's a path and you're not ready to accept the news about Christ, he still throws the seed there because he hopes that you'll change your heart. If your heart is stony soil and there's all these other people who are telling you not to believe in Jesus, he still throws a seed there because he hopes it'll change your heart. If your heart is full of weeds, he still throws a seed there because he hopes that one day you'll take all those weeds out and there'll be room for him to grow. Because here's the deal, it's God that grows us. We don't. I want you to think about this. No matter how good those soils were or how bad they were they doing anything unless the farmer put the seed in there?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, so you need God to grow you. You need to trust in God.
The only good thing
Tell us
of
the
that
only good
parable,
thing.
well, there's two. Now the seeds got into the soil and the birds were fed.
And the birds were fed. But we don't want to be the people that feed the birds. We don't want doubt to run our life. What we want is to trust in God and grow every day. So I want you guys, how do you let Jesus grow you? What could you do? If you had questions and you didn't understand what the Bible said, what could you do?
Read the Bible.
You could read more of the Bible to see if there's an answer.
answer.
You could pray.
You could pray and ask God for wisdom.
Ask your pastor.
You could ask somebody who knows more about the Bible, your pastor or some other leader, because you could see
So
if that
shiny.
person. Yes. Hey,
What's so shiny?
you could see. No, I know your
Oh,
shiny
the
belly.
light.
Hey,
Oh.
you could see what that. What about this? What if your soil was rocky? What could you do to fix that?
You could call a rock exterminator.
Well, you could get some of those influences out of your life. If those people are keeping
Oh, I
you
got
from
it.
growing,
Order Chick-fil-A.
I don't know if that's the answer.
Yes, it is.
It's only the answer for Adam. What about if you have weeds? What could you do?
Hey, it's the answer for Carl too.
What could you do if you have too many weeds in your soil?
Get a weed eater.
Pluck them out.
Pluck them out, and that means there may be some things that you do that are
Either
fine.
A, get a weed eater, B, call me, or C, do it yourself.
Yes. There might be some things in your life that really aren't necessarily sins, but if they stop you from growing closer to God, you need less of them, and more of God. Okay? And we want to make our hearts like good soil, and if our heart's going to be good soil, here's what we need to do. We need to read the Bible, we need to pray, and we need to be ready to listen to God to accept it. So I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you let God grow you. And especially when we're stuck at home more, there's plenty of time to read the Bible. There's plenty of time to pray. There's plenty of time to focus on God. So, can you all focus on God this week?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to check back with you next week.
Okay.
You better read the Bible.
Okay.
You better pray. Only if you want God to grow you, right? You got to make
Okay.
your heart right so God can. Have a great week. Bye.